You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Shahs of Sunset After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Shahs of Sunset After Show.
Good evening, everybody. Hello and welcome. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing the Season 2 opener of Shahs of Sunset. So that's Season 2, Episode 1. The episode is entitled The Whisky Makes You Frisky. Good evening. I am Yerman Gur, your host for the evening, and to my right, the ever-lovely
Du'a Kaissi. Hi, how are you?
Alrighty, and we are going to talk about this first episode, everybody. So we have obviously taken a little bit of a break in between seasons. We're back for Season 2. Obviously, a beginning that was not devoid of drama. They went right back into it like no time had passed whatsoever. And so we're going to just jump right into it. So let's talk about the fact that the gang, at least most of them, is back.
Yes.
Are back.
Sans Sammy.
Sans Sammy.
Sammy is no more.
Sammy is no more. It sounds like a lot of people are kind of clapping about the fact that he's not back. It sounded like he just didn't do very well with the audience.
Yeah, well, at least, online, everything that I saw online was just completely happy that Sammy isn't back, which he did. I mean, there was, back in Season 1, there was that whole blind date episode where he was just completely snide, and, I just think that either the way they portrayed him or, I'm not sorry that Sammy is gone. In fact, if you watch the previous episodes, I wasn't a big fan of Sammy either.
I can't say I'm a big complaint. I'm not complaining either.
He has a net worth of $10 million. He'll be just fine.
Like Roscoe used to be like, I got $3 billion in the bank. I'll be fine. So Sammy will be just fine. So goodbye to Sammy and hello to the rest of the crew.
And Lily.
And we're gonna get to her in just a little bit. But let's talk about the rest of the crew, the returning cast members real quick. So we had obviously a bunch of just quick flashy vignettes of all the main characters. We started out with I believe we started with Reza, if I'm not mistaken. We went right into Reza and we just kind of touched on where everybody is. So we have Reza that's back. He's obviously still doing his thing. Still extremely glamorous.
Still very gay.
Still very gay. Yes, that hasn't changed apparently.
That would be an interesting.
Yeah, that would be an awesome way to just start it off. Be like, I am Reza and I am not gay. That would have been interesting. But no.
Reza and MJ in bed together.
Yes. Be like,
that would be
oh, how time has passed. Yeah, that would have been an interesting development. But
that did not happen.
That did not happen. No, not so much. So we got Reza. We've got Gigi, the ever-lovely Gigi.
Can I tell you, so the title of the episode was The Whisky Makes You Frisky, although I would have liked the title of the episode to be Put Your Big Girl Panties On.
Yes.
Because that scene with the sister, Gigi and the sisters, I just thought that was hilarious. That was my favorite line of the episode is put your big girl panties on. Yeah,
because apparently Gigi she has so many clothes, but apparently she doesn't have big girl panties. That's something she should be shopping for.
I like the fact that she's trying to get a job, though.
Yeah, so the big thing with Gigi is that now she apparently owns a company. She went from not having had a single job her entire life to basically being the, I guess that we would call this the VP of Marketing and advertising for her extensions company.
Gigi's Extensions.
Gigi's Extensions, exactly. If y'all want some extensions, give her a call. I don't know if she'll know what department to, transfer you to, because I don't think she knows exactly how to even field the call. But give her a call. She'll hook you up with some extensions. I'm just saying.
Well, this is the thing. First of all, you don't go to a woman who is 9 months pregnant, and that's Gigi's sister.
Yes.
9 months pregnant, and ask her what to do when she's been doing so much stuff anyway. So I thought that was hilarious. I like Gigi's pregnant sister.
Yes. And it wasn't even like a, what do I do this week kind of thing. It was more like, that's where I thought she was going. I thought she was literally asking, hey, so what was I supposed to do these next couple of days? You had mentioned, almost like you had mentioned about that appointment. No. It was so, what do I do?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. What
Question
is my,
mark.
Yeah, what is my job?
Like what? Yeah, what do I do? Period. What is my job? How do I even start? Which I would have thought that they would have had this discussion before this season opener episode timeline.
She hasn't read the contract.
That was phenomenal. Her sister's like, just read the just read the contract, and she walks out.
Yeah,
just read the contract.
Just read the
That was amazing. So yeah, so she apparently never read the contract. She started a company. She doesn't know what to do, and for her business partner, she's chosen her 9-month pregnant sister, who obviously has not just being pregnancy on the brain, but she's also got her own life to live.
You never want
husband, this, that, and the other.
Of course, but you never want to do business with family either. That always gets crazy. But I would think that doing marketing, especially having a reality show and doing marketing, you would have people coming up to you,
right?
Saying, let me market your product. So I would think that this would be easy for her. But she's right, and her sister is right. She needs to go into something smaller. She needs to start, working. She needs to work at the Gap.
Absolutely.
If the Gap is hiring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would venture to not know what kind of job she'd be able to get, having had no previous job or employment history whatsoever. But yeah, I would have thought that before owning a company, she would want to just have like a job where all she would have to worry about is clocking in, doing her job, and then clocking out, just so she could get used to kind of a regimen, a rigmarole, the idea of a work week.
Well, she doesn't seem like a self-starter, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But another interesting thing was the entire time, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but the entire time they were interviewing Gigi during that whole bit at the pool, she didn't once say, I mean, she said, so I own a company now, Gigi's Extensions, and then they did that whole bit about advertising and so on, and then not once did she not turn to the camera and say, I've got this company, Gigi's Extensions. If you or anybody else want extensions, you know where to go. Not, that she could have even taken that opportunity in those interviews to just give a quick plug. That's the reason for the show, is to be able to kind of augment whatever it is you're trying to do as far as your life is concerned. But she didn't even do that. She just was complaining about her sister's reaction to her not knowing exactly what to do.
Well, this is classic Gigi, I think. I mean, this is classic Gigi. You can see, as they showed at the end of the episode as well, which we'll get into a little bit later, but she just, I feel like Gigi is definitely going to go down that negative path as she has before.
Yeah. So we've got that with Gigi. She's starting a company. We'll get to that. We'll come back to that in a second. We've got, obviously, MJ's back this year. MJ's back and apparently still fighting with her mother, but also just still kind of going day to day. She looks thinner.
She looks great. I thought that she looked great. But yeah, her problems with her mother are ever so. And you know what was crazy? I loved her mother. I thought her mother was funny. Her mother said two things that I loved. When they were in the car, when the dog was attacking the bird, they were in the car, and
it was called Bird. The bird is called Bird.
It was like Juju or something.
Yeah, Juju is Bird.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
What's your bird's name? Bird.
Bird.
So she was like, are we going to go on vacation together? MJ was asking her mother, and she goes, I'd rather poke my eye out with a needle.
Which is weird, because her mom just, according to Du'a, just sounded like a Romanian gulag specialist. I don't know what happened.
Working on my accents, guys. I'm working on my accents.
But yeah, basically, yeah. I don't know. So there's obviously a lot of drama there. So we'll get back to that as well. We've also got Mikey, who's back. Mike, who's back and apparently still in the commercial real estate. Still kind of doing his thing.
Is being humbled too.
Well, yeah. So that was an interesting twist that we'll get to in a second as well. So he had like a nice little experience that kind of taught him about another way of coming up in the ranks, so to speak, as opposed to what he'd been experiencing. So that might be, an opportunity for Mikey to kind of grow as a person over the course of the season.
Yeah. So it seems like he's having a hard time.
Yeah. So there's Mikey, there's Asa, there's MJ, there's Asa. So did I mention Asa? No. So there's Asa.
Yeah.
So Asa is apparently still She's still her catchphrase was, I forget now, or the
jet set gypsy.
Jet set gypsy.
It's like a contradiction.
Yes. So that's an interesting little thing now. She's kind of plugging. She's still got her music, and now apparently she's now moving back into this house that she'd been renting and using as income, and then in the meantime, kind of pursuing her music. So
that would just bode the question, which I think they touched base on, is what is she going to use for income if she's now living in the house that she's renting?
Right. Well, I think she was, if memory serves, she's going to try to rent out the back house, which it looked like my apartment house. So if that's somebody's back house, then congratulations. But I don't know exactly how much these rents would go for. The place obviously looked very updated and very kind of contemporary chic. So I'm sure that she'll get a nice amount of money for it. But again, how much money does she need to live on? How much money, or how much are her expenses?
I'm guessing a lot. Remember the diamond water? I mean, she drinks very expensive. She drinks very expensive water.
Yeah.
And yeah, she just there's so many things about Asa. She grew on me, but I feel like she's such a contradiction.
Yeah.
She can go out to dinner with her friends and spend all this money, and yet she doesn't have any money. She claims to be this, this hippie and this really nice, and this just like, this just kind of like really down to earth person, and yet she makes comments like she did at the dinner that we'll get into, a little bit later, about the nose. It's like, what, it almost bodes the question, how was that edited?
Yeah. Because
I don't believe that that's Asa. I don't think that she's that superficial. I feel like she tries to dig deeper than that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, editing has always been an issue with these shows for sure. So we'll see exactly how these characterizations play out over the course of this season. Before we get into the specific topics that we want to talk about outside of everyone being back, let's just quickly talk about the holidays. That's right, everybody. The holidays are coming up, and you know what that means. Lots of shopping. So we have an idea. When you are ready to shop and you are going to do what you inevitably are always going to do, which is to shop at Amazon, we suggest you go to AfterBuzz TV's website. You'll see the Amazon banner right there. Click on the Amazon banner. That will take you to Amazon. But what happens when you do that is that you can just shop freely, do what you normally do on Amazon, but when you shop and you purchase from Amazon by clicking on the Amazon banner on AfterBuzz TV, we get a little kickback. It helps keep the lights on, helps keep us bringing you these shows. Am I saying that correctly?
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, for some reason grammar escaping me right now, but keeps us bring these. Good God, what is wrong with me? Hold on a second.
We like lights.
Inhale. Exhale. We can bring you these shows that we love bringing to you, and it helps keep us. God, I really need to stop saying helps keep us. I don't know what's going on there. Apparently, I'm unable to talk. But just go ahead and shop through Amazon, through AfterBuzz TV. It's gonna be good for you, good for us, good for everybody.
And it doesn't cost you a thing.
And it does not cost you a thing, not a red cent. And you're doing it anyways, because don't lie, you're holiday shopping probably as we speak on your other computer desktop. So, moving on. So let's talk really quickly about the two kind of relationships that were explored in this episode, and that being one, Gigi and her sister, and then the other one being MJ and her mom. Just a little bit more on both those topics, since they seem to be, they're probably going to be themes throughout the rest of this episode as both those things play out, because it's not like the company's going to go anywhere anytime soon,
and her
mom isn't either.
Well, the thing is, her mom is leaving, actually. Remember, her mother is going for, and she was supposed to go for a month, and now she's going for 6 months.
Now she's going for 6 months.
And then you notice, and I feel like MJ always whenever MJ is around her mother, she acts like a little girl. Because as soon as her mother said, I was leaving, she said, well, you're going to leave on my birthday. Are you going to get me a present?
Right.
And then she goes, your present is I'm leaving.
Right. That's not necessarily, but is that really that weird that any of us around our parents would technically revert to more of a childlike state just because we're in the presence of our parents?
Perhaps, but I think that there's a lot of stuff that she just has not worked through, that she will bring up. I mean, that will bring up and be a little bit like, I thought that she was a little bit antagonistic at that dinner or at the luncheon.
For sure. So that's what I was going to ask you, was that not a little bit out of place to kind of take that dinner opportunity to because it didn't seem like it was an organic flow of the conversation to all of a sudden talk about the misgivings between her relationship with her mother. It seemed like it was something that she was like, hey, we're having a good time, and you know what we should toast to? We should toast to moms staying the heck out of their children's business, or being more nice to something like that. I forget exactly how it went, but it seemed awfully inorganic.
And I almost feel like, and this is always the problem with reality TV, is that, you know, do they have this dinner and they're like, all right, well, this is what we want you to talk about at the dinner. And that from like Bravo and the producers are like, we want you to address the issue with you and your mother. Go. And so this unfolds in this crazy chaotic way, because I mean, if I had an issue with my mother personally, I would never talk about it or bring it up at a dinner table in front of everybody and then have, you know, that's just, I mean, it's tacky. Absolutely. And these people are supposed to be, you know, these wealthy, classy people. And yet time and time again, seen again, they don't act it.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely very awkward. It was her mother's reaction being so. I mean, it's also interesting because at first everyone's calling themselves, you know, calling each other Jun, which is obviously a term of affection for those who don't know. It's a term of endearment in the Farsi language, in the Persian culture. It's like, you know, in Japanese you call somebody son or chan when you're familiar. But yeah, it's basically everyone was being, you know, nice to each other, and then at the dinner, she basically turned to her sister-in-law and basically said, "You're a horrible, horrible person," which seemed obviously a little over the top in terms of reaction. I mean, it went south. That dinner went south very quickly.
Yeah, it definitely downshifted quite quickly.
Yeah, and the mom just basically retreated and started feeding the dogs.
Yeah, well, and I think that the mother was upset because, as she said, and she is such broken English that it was kind of hard for me to, like, it just started kind of like going like a whirlwind, and then I was like, wait a minute, did I miss something?
Right.
Like, it just got so bad.
Yeah.
And then when she said, when she was at the testimonial and she was by herself, and she was like, they don't know, when I see accident and I see white car and Mercedes drives the white car, that I drive to her house, I see the car, I go home. And that was her way of saying that I care for my daughter. It just doesn't mean that I don't love my daughter.
But what did it seem like to the outside public?
That she was crazy.
Right. Yeah, because I do not necessarily do that, and I love my relatives, but every time I see their it's not even like the make and model of their car. She just was like, if it's a white car and it has an accident, I go check.
But what I found interesting about that is that if something like that happened to anybody else, what would you do? You'd pick up the phone and you'd call them. It's like she loves her daughter, but she can't show her daughter that she loves her.
Yeah.
So she says, you know, you're not fit for marriage. She wants her to be, but she doesn't think that she's fit for marriage. She's never going to be good enough. And in turn, I think that this is probably part of the reason that MJ is so successful. You know, she has this drive and this dedication.
I would definitely see that being the case, sure.
And so, you know, it's like you can either, if she had all of this like great warm love from her mother, she might have just gone soft, you know, ended up like Gigi.
Ended up like some of the other cast members. No, but yeah, absolutely. I would definitely see her, you know, maybe resentment, definitely some latent anger at her mother or so on being channeled into her, you know, business ventures and her business dealings and making her fierce in that fashion, because obviously she's not doing poorly for herself either.
Not at all.
So
no,
yeah,
she has a net worth of I think $6 million.
I think so. Yeah, right around that ballpark. So you know, that's just a really I don't understand exactly where this relationship is going to go technically from here, considering this is kind of a repeat of the things that were kind of established in the prior season, where they would have lunch and they would blow up at each other, and MJ would end up crying. One of the few accurate things that the mom did notice is that when they get together, MJ seems to always be crying. Now, granted, the reason is because MJ is deeply hurt all the time, but yeah.
And she blamed the wine too.
Right, and she blamed the wine. So you know, they would have lunch. She would cry. They would blow up at each other. They'd have dinner. The same thing happened at one point. She tried to have Sammy kind of act as an intermediary, or at least some sort of a buffer.
And this is all what happened in season one.
What happened in season one? Sammy tried to act as an intermediary, but that didn't work out too well either. So it's just interesting to me now to kind of establish this relationship for them, but then have like the mom leaving for what seems like it's going to be a significant amount of time.
Correct. Well, and the thing is, I think it's a good thing because it will allow MJ to heal. And this is, and you have to, from the point of view of the reality show, this is MJ's problem. It's not the mother. This is her hurdle that she has to get over.
Yes, because she's the cast member that,
and
the mom is...
And her mother's not going to change either. Her mother is her mother. She's not going to stop treating her the way... I mean, MJ is 30-something. You know? So her mother is not going to change. This is something that MJ needs to figure out on her own. what a step that she took this episode actually is she got together with Reza, who I love, just pops his head in at like the perfect moment, to put an ad up because she believes that it's her damaged relationship with her mother that is preventing her from having a healthy
relationship with a male. And she insists she is marriage material when her mother had said last season that you are not marriage material.
No, yeah. And she's going to prove her mother wrong.
She's going to prove her mother. What was that? There, I'm looking at my notes here real quick. I love the part where they actually said MJ actually made me laugh when she was mimicking her mother, and she said the most important thing.
Yes, is to take her bird.
yes, is to take her bird. That was hilarious. So props to you, MJ. That was fantastic. But yeah, so
I didn't refresh as much. Where is MJ's father? Because I would think it's her relationship with her father that would actually that would dictate how her male relationships are. Because isn't that how it is?
Technically speaking, psychologically, yes, that's usually the history. Is a woman's father usually dictates the type of relationships that they'd be looking to either compensate for or to walk away from in the males that they seek out.
Do we remember?
It's not like I'm a psychologist, but I unfortunately, as I'm racking my brain, don't exactly remember.
I'm gonna have to get back to that. And
we'll definitely have to check. So viewers out there, listeners, if you remember, please give us a shout out, let us know, tweet with us, go on iTunes and so on, and give us feedback and let us know about the father scenario, because I don't remember off the top of my head either. So yeah, that's interesting. So now that's the MJ mom thing, and then we've got the Gigi sister scenario.
I think it's more. I mean, Gigi. I think it's more of a Gigi harnessing her new job.
Yeah.
And I think that she's been so used to just people doing things for her that now that she has responsibilities, now she doesn't even know where to start. And you don't jump into the deep end of the pool if you don't know how to swim. This is going to be this is almost setting herself up to fail.
Yeah, I don't really know what the logic behind her actions were on that one. I don't know if I don't know how she decided, okay, well I want to start a company. It's not even like she clearly gave herself a position, a role. I don't know who assigned it to her, if it was her taking it on or if her sister was taking it on.
I guarantee you it was she's her sister was like, what do you want to do? Get something together. And then she probably thought up these hair extensions. And she's like, all right. And I guarantee it was her sister pushing.
Well, it definitely, I'm sure that her sister was like, okay, well, listen, you've got this idea. I think it's a good one. Why don't we drop a contract? And her sister did kind of what her sister does. Even when they were buying their father the Mercedes, and her sister went in there and was like, I will give you $500 a month. That will be for everything. Make it happen. The guy's like, no, we cannot do that. No, we cannot. Okay, we can do it.
They can always do it.
Yeah, they can always do it, yes. So, she probably took that kind of spearheading ability of hers and just kind of started the ball rolling. But I am amazed that Gigi didn't go, okay, well, hold on, talk me through this. How is this going to work? What do I need to do? It sounded like that was the first time she ever walked up to her sister and had said, okay, now what?
Yeah,
which should have happened way before. I mean, forget read the contract. It should have been like, okay, what do you want to do? Here's how you do it. Let's write it down. Something.
Well,
she finds this very funny.
No, I find it very, very, very hard to believe. And I want to say that maybe this is just something that, maybe the producers were like, let's get Gigi a job. Because I find it hard to believe that
Bravo
Gigi
producers.
wants to work, has any desire to work. I don't think that she does. I think that she's perfectly content not working. And now I think that she's totally fine with it.
Really? But she said at one point that she's excited about the prospect. So was that just kind of
But she hasn't done anything yet. How does she know that she's excited?
She just thinks she likes the idea that she's a job haver, job owner.
Yeah, she's like, I'm excited. I'm going to have a job. Wait a minute. What do I do?
Right.
She doesn't know whether she likes it or not if she hasn't done anything yet. You can't know. So I really think that that maybe Bravo was like, let's give Gigi a storyline. Let's give Gigi a job.
Well, that's where they were leading up to. I mean, when she had that confrontation with her father, and her father was like, look, this is a credit card bill for 1 month just for your credit card.
Yes.
And it was something like, I want to say like
it
over
was $8,000.
$8,000. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, what's an obnoxious number? For me, apparently 3,000 is an obnoxious number.
And
just goes to show
I remember
you my world. Gigi's world.
I remember that line too. There was a line that her father said, season 1, where she was talking about her appetite, and he goes, "I wish you could lose your appetite for shopping."
Yeah, that was a great line. Yeah, so. you know, they set all that up about that this was a natural progression for her to have a job. But I thought that in the time that they were going to be off, that she would have done some sort of more of a concerted effort to kind of give herself some boundaries or some stepping stones. She just went right from nothing to all of it.
A net worth of $10 million. That's Gigi's net worth. Why would she, like, what, you know, if she's lived a life, she is also, Gigi's 29. So, I mean, I could see her being very, very content with just living by the pool and figuring out what she's going to wear, you know. I think that this is really an opportunity for her to grow. And we'll see. Well,
so the new interesting character that they brought up in that dynamic, who also made a name for himself towards the end of the episode, was Omid.
Oh, Omid.
One word. Wow. And then, so if anything, when he's sober, more on that later, when he's sober, he actually said one pointed thing that I actually think I do agree with, in the sense that, you know, this relationship with her sister, Gigi's relationship with her sister as business partners, will definitely bring tensions into their relationship.
Absolutely.
And they will have lots of things to struggle with. You know, you mentioned earlier, you probably don't want to go into business with family.
Because there's that underlying sibling rivalry.
Absolutely. And there's definitely a real possibility that that is something that people should be very weary of, in my opinion, having had relatives that are also in business with each other. But I do agree with Omid that if you can get over those hurdles with your family members that you're in business with, and if you can eventually see the other side of the tunnel, or see through to the other side of the tunnel, then that business and that relationship will be that much more, that much stronger
absolutely,
than any relationship or business you might have with an individual that's not necessarily your relative. That's actually something I do believe. The question is, will Gigi and her sister get there?
Exactly. Or it can be that much more destructed and damaged and fall apart. Families have been torn apart by this.
Well,
there are two sides to that coin, sir.
So now, just out of curiosity, do you think that Gigi should instead get something? I mean, is this a good idea for her, or should she have definitely gotten something? You mentioned the job at the Gap.
Her sister is the only person that will be able to push her and tell her what she needs to hear, and tell her when. Like, I think that this is good for Gigi right now, because Gigi, nobody will tell her when she's not doing her part. Her sister will, and her sister won't put up with her crap. So yes, I think that this is great. I think that this is, you know, a really good thing. I like the fact that Asa also kind of has a job now. She's singing at this at the, what is it? It's like a fashion show?
Yes, Fashion Week. So Fashion Week is the biggest fashion event in America,
in New York.
It happens in New York. It happens twice a year. The most famous one, the most famous of the two, I believe, is the one in February, where they unveil the spring line and the summer line and so on. But they do it twice a year, I think. And of course, I could be wrong. Again, listeners, if you're out there, let me know how wrong I am. But so she's going to be potentially singing at Fashion Week,
which will pay all of her bills for the month, she said.
Yeah. So it's
now she doesn't have.
I'm sure you're going to say exactly what it is I'm going to say.
Now she doesn't have money.
Right.
But she has a net worth of $3 million.
Right. You are going to say exactly what I was going to say. Yes.
Yeah. So this is something that.
So riddle me this.
Yes. Riddle me this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where, you know, I just don't understand why she doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
And yet they can still go to lavish dinners, but she's just.
Absolutely.
You know, and she was a music. Did she not put out her CD? Is that not out, or?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but that's completely over my head. And I allegedly got a degree in economics in school, but I'm not exactly sure how the math comes out on this, because she apparently was living off the income of that place that she owns. Now she's moving into at least the main portion of it. She still needs to rent out the back house, of whose security deposit, hopefully I'm saying this right, of whose security deposit she needs to be able to pay off something as well.
Exactly, sure.
So she's obviously she obviously thinks month to month, but someone with her net worth shouldn't need to think month to month per se.
Correct.
On top of which, she shouldn't need to be able to make statements like, I need to book this singing gig in order to pay, you know, my rent this month.
It doesn't really exactly, like,
nothing added up to me on that one.
Something isn't melding, and I think it makes sense with the whole, you know, she's a gypsy jet setter.
Right.
You know, she's very, you know, holistic, and she's very, like, into, you know, but she drinks diamond water.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Did you so does she pay for that dinner that she hosts? Or does she just say, hey, we're meeting at a Beverly Hills place, we're going to have some dinner, and everybody just divvies up, or just Annie's in, so to speak?
I don't know. I mean, I would think if I invite people to dinner to make an announcement, I pay for the dinner.
Technically, yes, right?
That's
if you're on a budget and you don't even know if you've booked the gig yet per se, because they didn't. I don't remember her saying that she actually did get book it for sure. She said she thinks she's got it. But that was still in a negotiation phase. She said 15,000. That is.
Well,
they countered with 10,000, and they said, "Well, we're going to find out what our budget is and see if we can get some other investors to kind of."
And they did with the
choke up the rest of the money.
With the preview for next week's episode, episode 2 of season 2. I think they are going to touch base a little bit more about just Asa's financial situation, because I think that she's more of an artist, and I don't think that the financial thing kind of melds with her. You know, she doesn't really get it.
Absolutely. And that was one interesting thing that she said to me, is that she said on the show as well. She said, you know, she's an artist. She really sucks at asking for money, which if you were going to a potential for, a meeting potentially for employment, it would seem like you would have some representative, even if you don't have a manager or an agent or something. You have all these friends who are in the business of dealing with money. I would have definitely either said, you know, why don't you call so-and-so, or maybe had them come in. I mean, it's a reality show, so it's conceivable that she could have just brought Reza with her, and Reza could have done the negotiating on her behalf. It just seems awkward that if you suck at asking for money, that you just basically bring it on yourself to have to do so.
Exactly. No, you don't. Well, yeah, I completely agree. If I know what I don't have strengths in, and then you source it out elsewhere and find somebody that is good at. All right, can we talk about Lily?
Okay, so the big unveiling. So obviously, wait, before we talk about Lily though, let's quickly mention one thing I forgot about just now, and that's iTunes. Ladies and gentlemen, you're probably either listening to us live, or you plan on watching us on YouTube tomorrow, or most importantly, you plan on listening to us on our podcast on iTunes. First of all, thank you for your patronage. Thank you for listening. Please, if you do so, rate, comment. We really appreciate it. We love reading all the comments. We love interacting with you guys. We love getting corrected for all the ridiculous things we say, or all the important stuff we didn't say and didn't mention. So please, please, please rate and comment. We love it. We appreciate it. It also lets us know how we're doing, and lets us kind of cater the shows that we do towards what you guys want to see, what you want to see. Yeah,
we do it for you. So
absolutely.
We do like to hear your feedback.
We do it for you. So please tell a friend that this is going on. You know, help us get the word out, and by all means, interact with us, rate, comment, and interact with us. And thank you so much for listening to us on iTunes. We really, really appreciate it. So let's get to the big unveil, as you said.
Lily, or I like to call her the Persian Cher.
Phenomenal pull, by the way. You mentioned this while we were watching the episode, and you're like, Persian Cher. I'm like, oh my God, that's
She
brilliant.
does. It was the hair. Did you see the hair when she walked in? The hair. And by the way, I've got to say, are those Gigi's extensions?
Yeah. Phenomenal. You said that, and I laughed. You're like, she needs Gigi's extensions. I think she might be wearing them.
Yeah, those might be them.
Yeah.
That's how you get everybody on the show to wear them.
It was phenomenal, because all of her interviews. So I'm gonna have to do this, because there's a friend of mine out there who's if he's listening, he'll appreciate this, because we used to make fun of this all the time. That one interview vignette of hers, when she has the bangs and the hair, I honestly wanted her to just look right in the camera and go like, if I could turn back time, and then go right into her thing.
And not miss a beat, like bam, bam.
And just be like, yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I also do Cher impersonations. But her resemblance, or that is to say, that air of hers is uncanny. Your ability to pull that was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. So
let's break down Lily.
Thoughts. Do we like her? Don't like her?
Well, honestly, I kind of do like her, in the sense that she's obviously being thrown into the deep end of this pool. You know, she's basically being thrown into a group of people who are already in some ways ostentatious, successful, larger than life. You know, their lifestyle demands a certain, how do you want to call it, level of rolling deep. And it takes a certain person, you know, with a certain confidence and a certain kind of presence to be able to jump into that and not necessarily get sucked into a wormhole. So in that regard, I like her. I don't know that much about her yet.
I like the fact that she stood up for
the dinner thing. Yeah, we're gonna get all
she
kinds
stood
of
up
things
to
happening.
Omid.
to Omid.
Omid.
Yeah.
Omid.
Yeah.
At dinner, she stood up to him, and I like that. I'm pretty sure that she could float if you threw her in water and she didn't know how to swim. Those boobs are huge.
Well, she's real thin.
She's real thin.
As Reza noticed.
I love his one-liners. They're like zingers.
He really, I mean, it's amazing that he's not scripted at all. And now all of a sudden it's like he keeps coming up with
He's not scripted at all?
Well, I don't know, because he comes up with these things so well that it's almost as if somebody would say, like, oh, you should say something like this. But I would
like
say
the
that
king
he's probably
of puns.
not. Yeah, he's really, really good at pulling those things. But, you know, Lily, like every other character on the show, is somewhat enigmatic. She's from Texas. It was kind of funny. She's like, there's 6 Persian people in Texas, and our family is 5 of them. So obviously which is true. Obviously there's a smaller pool up there, or out there, that is to say. You know, she's obviously not doing too badly for herself. She owns her own company as well. They sell bikinis now, or added selling bikinis.
So on Lily's resume, she's actually an attorney, an entrepreneur, she's a fashionista, and she's also a blogger.
It's like the Jamaicans on In Living Color.
She's like
I'm a lawyer, a doctor, a fashionista, a bikini owner, a model. Yeah, that's
like
my
when they
horrible Jamaican accent. Yes.
It's like when they were picking the person. They're like, who should we have on the show? They're like, let's find the opposite person of Gigi.
Gigi. Yeah.
She's like the anti-Gigi. And I love how when they came in, they had all of the girls' expressions,
Reactions.
and Gigi's like, I love her. I love her.
I love that kind of girl. I'm like, you have no idea what that kind of girl is.
Exactly. Until she pisses her off, then she's got to go get Africa.
Yeah.
Remember that? The big knife.
She's got to go get Africa. It all came back in a swirling whoosh. But yeah, so Lily, so she's obviously successful. She's getting back together with her ex-boyfriend.
Well, she seems high maintenance though, because the terms and conditions of them getting back together is he has to move out here and get a house.
Right, and it's not just any house. Apparently, it has to be 5 times the size of the house that they saw, which I thought was. I don't know that much about house square footage, but it seemed big, not small so much as
she just needed more closet space. But yes, absolutely, yeah.
So that's an interesting relationship there. You know, that obviously Reza's gonna kind of be her what's the word, liaison to this kind of new group. They're gonna be the kind of besties that kind of bring Lily in, assuming that she comes in all the way. We'll see how she messes with the rest of the cast. And so, you know, she was kind of shortly introduced. She obviously, like I said, is doing well for herself. She drove up in a Bentley Sportster. So, you know, nice.
But it was
nice job, Lily.
It was what is it, Bulgari?
It's Bugatti. So that's another thing too. Is let's quickly touch about Mike before we get to the dinner party thing. So that's an interesting little thing that Mikey had to go through, or not had to go through. It sounds like he went through.
He had to go through. He had to hear a story about how somebody else went through stuff.
You know, Mikey. As far as Mike's development in last season, a lot of people felt it wanting, especially even us in the booth here. We didn't really see exactly what was going on with him, except the fact that he was just kind of there
and pretty thick and rich on top.
Pretty thick and that's awesome. Thank you. Yes, he was thick and rich on top, which thank goodness he hasn't lost. Way to go, buddy. He's still thick and rich on top, and he just people kind of got the impression that he was kind of a little whiny. Which he did do a little bit again, saying that the commercial real estate market is going through difficulties, but then what market in the U.S. isn't going through difficulties? And then he went to this party.
Yeah, and when he went to the party, the gentleman who has a Bulgari, it looked like it was a Bugatti.
Bugatti. So for those who don't know, who are out there in the listening world and the watching world, Bugattis are basically a very, very rare sports car, very highly allocated. They usually range 1 million and up. When you see a Bugatti, know that there are very few in the world, and you just saw one of them.
And don't hit it.
And don't even come close to it. Don't even come like its bubble, its Jedi Force bubble, because even that's worth a lot of money. So yeah, he's obviously, this gentleman Manny is obviously doing well for himself, quite well for himself. And he kind of depicted a story about how he came up with nothing, which is an antithesis, or that is to say, it's different than most stories you hear about, as Mike was talking about. You know, a lot of Iranians that fled when the Shah was overrun, they were part of the monarchical system, whatever the word is, a monarchy system. So they had a lot of wealth with them, and they took it with them when they moved out here. In this case, this gentleman did not have that wealth. He didn't come from money, which Mike assumed he did. He literally was jumping in dumpsters, apparently grabbing stuff that he could at 14.
That's thoughtful.
Yeah, and you like the part he's at 14. He's grabbing stuff at dumpsters and then doing what, Du'a?
He's grabbing stuff and he's flipping it.
Yeah.
He's selling it at the flea market.
At the flea market, bless your heart, Manny. And from the flea market, he got to this level. So amazing that if that's on the up and up and that's above board the whole way through, bravo. So yeah, and he heard the story, and Mike, as if he's never heard a story about strife and struggle,
had an epiphany.
And instead of complaining about all the hustling he has to do for a $10,000 commission, which is still sometimes, you know, it's over the national average.
It's chump change.
I'm pretty sure that's over the national average of income in this country. But apparently it's a struggle for him to get a $10,000 commission. So now hopefully he's going to be, at least he says, looking to turn over a new leaf and just kind of
or learning.
buckle down.
I think learning how to be more, learning how to see his opportunities more, learning how to learn from things. And he did, you know, or at least that's what he said. Now, what they say in this episode and what actually happens throughout the season, we'll see.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
I mean,
at least they're gonna have fun. That scene at the car wash was hilarious. Just so you guys know, I mean, we're representing here tonight. Obviously, our co-hosts Anna Koppel and Misty Kingma weren't able to be here tonight, but they will be joining us in the future shows. Tonight, it's an all Middle Eastern show. Yeah, and that was it was a great scene that they had between Reza and Mike
at the car
wash. Being Turkish and Lebanese, it was hilarious to watch these two make little things like, oh, look at these white people, they're returning $20 bills at the grocery store. You know, as Middle Easterners,
as they're dying in the valley.
Yeah, as they're dying, he's like, I hate the valley. Is our car wash done yet? And they were making all kinds of funny little comments about people that they're, you know, people driving backwards and so on.
Part of the reason I love Reza is that you notice more and more there are all of these like storylines that seem to be dramatic, but I feel like with Reza, like he's going to go through his problems, and he has, you know, he's got the elephant in the room. He's Middle Eastern and he's gay, but every time you are in a scene or you see a scene with Reza, it's always lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
And he likes to keep it that way, and that's what I love. And his mustache just goes along. It's the icing on the cake of his whole character and personality, and it is carefree and lighthearted and fun. Yeah,
and mine, by the way, is for Movember. It was. I know it's now December. I will be shaving it. I just haven't gotten there. Please don't go. Yerman, what's with the mustache? It's coming off soon. I swear. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a musketeer. It's just the way it looks. I'm sorry. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Reza is a really, really interesting dichotomy of this man that obviously lives in the same kind of world of wealth as these other people, but he really is an interesting dichotomy of humor, offsetting humor, the ability to kind of bring the tension down in a situation. He makes all the other cast members, he seems to be everyone's bestie on that show.
And yet, do you remember what Mike said? Is that he said that Reza was I think that he does. Reza does like to stir up trouble, and he does. Yeah. He brought in Lily to the dinner party, and
they showed up late.
They showed up late. He brought in Lily. But the thing is, he stirs drama by not saying anything. He just kind of just like, you know, he turns the stove on high and then just walks out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then he got embarrassed as well. And I really like what Mike did. I felt like he was very, very diplomatic, and he kind of brought the tension down as well. Let's talk about the dinner.
So let's talk about the dinner. Du'a, go.
So the dinner consisted of pretty much everybody got together. It was Gigi and Omid. That's what I'm going to call him now.
That's going to be a bit.
Omid.
Yeah.
And Omid has an obnoxious laugh.
Wait, hold on. So let's go through all the players. So we've got Gigi, Omid, Asa, MJ, all the players, plus Reza and Lily show up late. There's also Mike at the table.
Absolutely.
And
one of her friends.
And one of her friends, one of Asa's friends, who we were wondering if she had been there.
I thought
the last dinner blow up, but
yes, with Gigi and her, but it wasn't.
But I don't think that.
They would have addressed it.
So they all sit down at Il Cielo in Beverly Hills, and they're going to celebrate. They don't know what yet because Asa hasn't toasted.
They're drinking plenty, and they start the evening by Gigi saying, "Look, I brought Omid, so everybody knows that I don't like Mike anymore."
Right.
So it's almost just like, this is going to be my puppet that I bring, so nobody will ask questions about that. And it wasn't even.
And right off the bat, they start ordering whiskey.
So
the title actually is. I mean, I drink whiskey myself, so I don't know if I would lead the evening of friends around the dinner table with the whiskey.
Well, I wouldn't shoot it though.
Well, yeah, I definitely wouldn't shoot it. But they start ordering the whiskey, and already eyebrows start rising, and then the food starts coming in, and then everything.
And I think that the alcohol was just a catalyst, because what happened was Omid had his laugh that was obnoxious. Asa, who doesn't hide anything, she's just like, your laugh is, can you just warn me if you're going to laugh, which upset Gigi.
Yeah.
And now Omid moves from the one side of the table to the other side of the table, so now it's just like them in their little corner, like two children misbehaving at a table. And then we have Asa. I love the part where Asa was trying to make a toast. And she was dinging the cup, and she's like, I'm trying to make a toast. Excuse me, hello, I'm trying to make a toast. Who you invite people out to dinner, you want to make a toast, and nobody wants to listen to
She could have also stood up to just let them know that she was about to say something, but apparently that's not something that jet setter gypsies do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just went south. The alcohol kept flowing. Apparently, considering MJ usually ends up being a drinker as well, and we haven't seen her. We have also seen her when she's not necessarily at her best. She was
episode 1, season 1.
She was keeping together, and Omid and Gigi just go south of the border and try to take everybody along with them.
Yeah. Now, do you feel like Asa was almost being passive aggressive when she made that comment about his nose, because he was so drunk? And because I think that she meant it to be a compliment, like, good, congratulations for not getting a nose job and not being superficial and getting a nose job.
Well,
but what she really said was, your nose is terrible.
Yeah, well, I don't. so a lot of people out there are people out there who say, I'm just blunt. I just tell it like it is. And I believe Asa's also said the same. I understand that she thinks she's keeping it real, but some things, in my opinion, shouldn't necessarily be said, especially if you've just met that person right then and there. So it's not like she said, can you please warn me next time you're screaming. First she stood up with, oh my God, you have a really loud laugh. So, there are ways you can present information to people that don't necessarily put them on the defensive right off the get.
Yes, and then
it doesn't help that it's basically exacerbating a situation where these people are also drinking.
Of course, but you also don't know, and this is where, and it will always come into play, and I will always bring this up, editing will always be a factor, because she could have been fed up and you just cut it out, and it made her look.
That's true.
So a lot of things could have happened. That could have been, throughout the evening. A lot of way to tell is like the level of the glasses.
Right.
I try and watch, because something can be said.
Yeah.
And it's like completely, the level of the glasses is different. You can look, and they're on a completely different course.
That's a good
that
point too,
continuity.
because it makes it, the way they edited it, it made it sound like it went south very quickly, and it could have spanned a 2 to 3 hour span. Now, I don't know what to say. Bravo to the rest of the people in that restaurant. That's probably the weirdest night they ever had, because this table seemed to basically take over this restaurant.
How would you feel if you walked in and you see MJ and Gigi and everybody sitting down to dinner next to you? You're going to be like, can I move tables, please?
Absolutely.
This is not how people behave in a restaurant.
Almost unequivocally, the manager would have at least at some point been like, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we do need to keep it down, because Omid's laugh was unmistakable and completely, like, whether or not you thought it was annoying, it was, loud.
Yes.
So he definitely could have been. He definitely probably would have been asked at some point by some person. I mean, maybe they just didn't, because it's a television show and they're
I've
filming
been known to have an obnoxious laugh, and nobody's ever asked me to be quiet before.
Well,
however, I think that Reza said it best when he's like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed for myself.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're following the sentence. You're like, I'm embarrassed for, and then he comes up with myself. You're like, wait, I'm sorry, rewind. Did you say yourself? Because I thought you were going to say for the rest of his friends. But
the pinnacle, the climax of the evening was when Gigi had left.
Yes.
And she was really, really drunk, and they had started making out, and then I guess they were, he was fondling her or something, and they're like, can you not do that?
He had his hands up her skirt.
She walks out. And then he turns to the other girls, and he made that WW comment. What was it? I need to get Rick.
He said he's gonna get Ric Flair. So Ric Flair is a pro wrestler, and he said he's gonna get Ric Flair. He's gonna get or does he have to get Ric Flair on these bleep bleeps?
Yeah, and I'm such a girl that I turned to Yerman. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So and he was like, it's
then
wrestling.
I had to. Well, it's wrestling. So thank God I actually for once I was like, ooh, this reference I get. But yeah.
And that's when Lily, that's what made me like Lily, is because Lily didn't sit there and take it.
No,
she stood up for herself. But when Mike stood up and then looked at Lily and he was like, look, he's drunk, just let him go. And she's like, he's disrespecting me. He's like, no, just let him go. She shut up for Mike. So she's not not void of reason.
Which is savvy as well, because then you're basically being told by someone. I mean, Mike I think he handled it okay as well. He's like, I realize that. I realize he's disrespecting. I'm on your side, but let's just let it go. And she actually seemingly knew her place as the newcomer, not to necessarily pursue something that the people in the group should just as well be pursuing.
It's because Mike was right and Omid was not. That's why. Because because he was absolutely right. There's no point trying to talk sense into somebody that is drunk. There's just no point. Yeah. And all you're going to do is you're going to flare their anger, and then they're going to flare their anger. You're going to Ric Flair their anger, and they're going to start yelling, and 10 minutes later they're not even going to know why.
Yeah.
But Gigi needs to get herself together. Yeah. Gigi needs to come on the show. We'll sit her down. We'll put out like a 5-point marketing plan for her. We'll help her out.
Yeah,
we'll help her out.
She can call any business school and just ask a business school, like an MBA candidate, to just be like, I need a business plan, help me. Or maybe just have somebody just help her read the contract. Because apparently she's got to read the contract.
Put an ad on Craigslist. Get your lawyer to read the contract. You know?
Oh my God! Wow, hijinks everywhere. So
Gigi, we'll plug your hair.
Yeah.
Gigi's hair.
That pretty much wraps up the hijinks on this one. So then now we've got, what are we doing? Some news and gossip?
Yeah, you want to do a little news and gossip?
Let's do a little news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
This just in, Du'a.
I like that voice.
Thank you.
I talked in that voice once, and Anna laughed at me.
Yeah.
So Reza actually told the Huffington Post, Kim Kardashian right now is in the Middle East, in Kuwait and Bahrain.
Yes.
And Reza quoted, and he said, Kim has a nice piece. I don't know if she can bring it, but I hope so, because we need some peace in the Middle East. Well, just another one of his absolute fabulous puns. So we've got great news for Shahs of Sunset, guys. The ratings last night were 2.3 million.
Crazy.
So since the season premiere of season 1, the ratings have been progressively going up 20% each episode.
Yeah.
So when it clocked in at 2.3 million, it's actually 106% higher than season 1's premiere and 50% higher than season 1's finale.
Which was a huge big upswing from their season opener.
So now, I can't wait to see where this goes.
Right.
And so it says a lot. You've got to have compelling characters to get these kind of ratings on a cable network show. So that's exciting. And then also one thing. So there's a lady. She's a model. Her name is Nikki Jahazan. She's a Persian model, and she's actually really, really upset, and she wants to sue Bravo because Lily, the new character, everybody on the show calls her the Persian Barbie. They referred to her as that, and it was so big that Bravo actually used it in the promos, and they also have it on her little bio on the website. Yeah. They refer to her as the Persian Barbie now, and she apparently loves it. Well, this woman, Nikki Jahazan, she's an FHM model, and she's the self-proclaimed Persian Barbie since like 2005.
Which is so much more legit, mind you, when you self-proclaim.
She fired a cease and desist letter last week to Bravo, claiming that the network has no right to use the term for her star Lily, that they have to stop using the term Persian Barbie. She says that it's not okay.
That's her legal terminology. This is not okay.
I just think this is silly. It's like the term Persian Barbie, but it's just silly in general. It's like it's just like what when Paris Hilton did the whole hot thing. It's like nobody can ever say hot ever because I say it a lot. Well, that makes no sense.
Did this model copyright herself as or trademark herself as the
No.
Persian
She said
Barbie?
that since she's been using it for so long, since 2005, it should be considered common law, or it is common law.
Okay.
And so I think it's silly. I thought it was funny. I thought it was worth sharing, and I thought.
Thank you for sharing. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that is all I have right now. We're just tipping at the iceberg. I'll have much more for you guys next week, and hopefully some guests too.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great season.
Can we get right into predictions?
Let's do it.
I've got a great one.
I love that sound.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I love that noise. And now for some predictions, Du'a.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go?
You want me to go first? Well, my prediction actually is going to be, I actually don't, unfortunately, I don't want to be like a pessimist, but I actually don't see Gigi's business venture, Gigi's extensions with her sister. I don't think that it's going to go that far. I think...
You don't want to be a pessimist, or you don't want to be a realist?
Apparently either. I mean, I think it's... you know, yes, they have a lot of clout behind them maybe, or business sense, and they've got the show to promote it, but, you know, in the world of skincare and hair care and so on, these are huge markets. And you cannot have a 9-month-old, you know, 9-month pregnant woman spearheading a company by herself.
Well, she's not going to be 9 months pregnant forever.
Well, but I'm saying with a newborn, is that going to make her time any less, you know, or it's not going to make her time, you know, any more available. If anything, once the baby's born, forget about it. She's, you know, on baby duty. And then with a sister that apparently doesn't know what am I to do, I just don't see how you could get that ball rolling unless that they decide, okay, well, we're just going to hire an entire VP team, like marketing, research and development, sales, outside sales, inside sales.
So you don't think that Gigi is going to have a...
I think she's going to get very fed up very fast. I don't think she has the patience. I don't think she really knows. It's
going to be a short-lived storyline.
It's going to be a very short-lived storyline. If anything, it's going to create more you know, tensions between her and her family, and maybe she will decide, okay, well, I think I'll just go get a job at the Gap. Is that likely?
No, I think they should decide. So
yeah, how about you?
I have one small prediction. I have a prediction. I'll actually have two predictions. I have a prediction that something will happen between Lily and Mike. Something small is going to happen between Lily and Mike, because I already see some tension there, and she piped right down.
Oh, when you say something small, you're talking about tensiony something small.
I'm talking about there's going to be something there.
Something there. Okay.
Something's going to be there.
Sounds
and I predict that Gigi will be the first cast member of Shahs of Sunset to be on Celebrity Rehab. Those are my predictions.
And there you have it. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Well, guess what? That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Tune in next week. Anna Kappa.
Yes, by all means. Anna Kappa will be here, as well as Misty Kingma in future episodes. You can tweet them at for Anna Kappa. It's Koppel for Mayor, Koppel for Mayor. Misty Kingma is
Misty City, LA.
Du'a, why don't you go ahead and give them your handle?
Du'a Kaissi.
Fantastic. And you can reach me on Twitter at Yerman Gur, YermanGur. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week, everybody.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.